I wish I had as much energy as you were describing it. Absolutely exhausted. Okay, so I picked this topic because I've been thinking about it for a while. In 2008, actually, I gave a couple of public talks where I mentioned the term Wahhabi Sufism, and I described myself as a Wahhabi Sufi, or a Salafi Sufi. And I got hammered from both sides, and you can imagine, the hardline Wahhabi and hardline Sufis. Got very angry, saying, how is this even possible? It's not possible, no way. So I got that from both sides. I had some interesting reaction from people in the middle saying, that sounds interesting, but please tell us more. And there wasn't a chance to elaborate. And I suppose, elaborating and continuing on a presentation I gave at the Muslim Institute in December, where they asked me to talk about Wahhabi Islam, and I talked about these similar issues. Now, I should define various terms, and I look forward to your comments because there's many experts in this room. There are Sufi sheikhs here, there are academic authors on Salafism and Sufism, and very high-powered people there. But as one of the leaders of or former leaders of the British Salafi movement in this country, somebody who's a student, teenage student, and young adult leader of the British Salafi movement, which helped export Salafism all around the world, actually, and especially the Western world, across Europe, the United States, Canada, Australia, and even in Malaysia, Southeast Asia, places like that, even back to, if you like, back to Pakistan and other places. I have a little bit of experience of that, coming from a strongly Salafi family on both sides, mum and dad. Both my parents and their ancestors going back several generations. Are all religious scholars of Quran and Hadith, including many of the women in the family, actually. And they all go back to the Delhi school of Shah Waliullah. Shah Waliullah, Delhi. My parents are both in Delhi, so I kind of grew up in that tradition. So, to define some terms, so the idea of Salafism is basically, obviously, derived from the word Salaf. And Salaf means the past, the previous people. The people who passed beforehand, those who came before. And the idea of Salafism has become the idea of authenticity, trying to recapture original Islam. And the technical definition of the Salaf in that context is the first 3 or 4 generations, actually, after the Prophet Muhammad himself. And that is entirely based on this famous hadith which says, the best of the people are my generation, the Prophet says, and then those who follow them, then those who follow them. And in some narration he said, and those who follow them as well. So that's why I say 3 or 4 generations. Right? So that's the idea of Salafism, the first 3 or 4 generations of Islam. That's the companions, then the followers, the Tabi'un, the Tabi'un, and the next generation. That takes you to about, actually, the first century of Islam, if not longer, if not middle of the 2nd century. I mean, it's quite a long period where you have all the great imams and scholars and saints and others. So that's where Salafism kind of tries to define itself. And through learning this and teaching it for a long time, obviously I had a lot of time to think about these things through studying the Quran, Hadith, and seeing all of that traditional stuff. Salafism says part of that is to get rid of innovations, bid'ah, which came later. That's why Salafis are very anti-innovation, as they call it. They say you go back to Islam as practiced in the first 3 or 4 generations. And sadly, it's true that modern Salafis tend to be very sectarian. Also, one of the reasons I left Salafism, I'm kind of a post-Salafi now. They tend to be very sectarian, especially against Shia and Sufi groups amongst the Muslims. And the reason that they tend to be anti-Shia is they have a lot of focus on the companion of the Prophet, as that first generation. And in their view, Shiism doesn't fit with, doesn't respect or venerate the companion of the Prophet enough. And that's one of the reasons they tend to be very anti-Shia. And when it comes to Sufism, they tend to regard that as a very big innovation. All the Sufi terms and practices. So terms and concepts such as Fana and Baqa, for example, or wahdat al-wujud, wahdat al-shuhud, terms related to a person's union with God, mystical truths. So especially as a union with God and divine manifestations, tajalliyat, all that kind of thing, is seen by Salafism as being extremely heretical and a later innovation borrowed from elsewhere. And the same is true of practices, so that's in terms of beliefs. So they will critique the action of the Sufi tariqah, for example, the various forms of dhikr which different Sufi orders promote or prescribe for their followers. Dhikr is the remembrance of God, of course, which is run throughout the Qur'an. But the idea of the specific form of the dhikr manifests in different ways in Sufi orders, right? From circles of dhikr to forms of sacred dance, the hadra, and there's many other variations. Again, Salafism tends to say this is all innovation, and we have to go back to a search for authenticity. Now, Sufism, it's difficult to define very quickly, but for me it's basically the inner aspect of Islam, the inner aspect of all of the teaching, that is Sufism in a nutshell. So the outer aspects of any religion like Islam are fairly well known, the 5 pillars of Islam, prayer, fasting, charity, pilgrimage, all the rest of it. But the idea of Sufism really is that there's an inner aspect to all of this which is directly linked to God. It is related to the divine names of Zahir and Batin. God is the outward and the inward, and therefore religion and existence has outward and inward aspects as well. And Sufism focuses on those inward aspects. Right, so how do you make sense of all this? And the reason I'm talking about it, partly personally, but partly for what I see is happening out there, which is a dangerous polarization amongst different aspects of the British Muslim communities in this. There is a lot of polarization, I would say hatred actually, enmity. It's really quite serious between Salafis or Wahhabis on one side and Sufis and others on another side. And that's been going on for a good 20, 30 years. And it is very serious because I know it divides communities, it divides families. It leads a lot of converts to Islam or reverse, or whatever people want to call themselves, or born Muslims who weren't very religious or reconnected with Islam. It leads a lot of confusion because people are pulled in different directions. A lot of our converts or reverts, or whatever term people wish to use, are attracted to one of these. They become Salafi, or they become Sufi, or they become Shia, whatever appeals to them, of course. As I said, that polarization is a worry. Now, just through my studies, certain things became obvious to me. One of them was that, as Ibn al-Qayyim said, he actually pointed out that the early Sufis, such as Imam Junayd, Sari al-Saqati, and others, Ma'ruf al-Qadri, all these famous authorities which all of the early books of Sufism quote from, they're all part of the Salaf. They're part of that first 3 or 4 generations, right? They're part of that first century and a half. So the kind of hardline Salafi claim that Sufism has nothing to do with religion or with the Salaf is just basically historically flawed there because the early Sufis are part of the Salaf. Now similarly, the Ahlul Bayt, the descendants of the Prophet, are also part of the Salaf. They're the Prophet's descendants, and so Imam Ahmad al-Baqir, or Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, who's a teacher of both Imam Malik and Imam Abu Hanifa, for example. They're all part of the Salaf as well. So it becomes very difficult then to also discount the whole of Shia Islam as some innovation. I suppose what the Salafis do argue is that they do revere the Ahlul Bayt. In principle, at least, what they argue is that Shia Islam hasn't preserved the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt faithfully, and that they corrupted it, etc. That's the charge from the Salafism, which is obviously quite problematic. But I would actually argue that Salafism and Wahhabism is actually an extreme version of Sunnism, right? It's taking certain Sunni principles to a real limit, and you see that especially with the opposition to Shiism, but also to certain aspects of Sufism, like Ibn Arabi's teaching or others, which is certainly not the Salafis and Wahhabis only who are opposed to, say, Ibn Arabi, right? Many of the so-called orthodox Sunni clerics, theologians, particularly theologians and the jurists, were also opposed to some of those teachings, which were often described as being either hulul or ittihad, right? Either a belief in God incarnate or a belief in pantheism. Right? Now, of course, Sufis will deny that. Actually, I agree with them. This is not pantheism or God incarnate. But the language, when you talk about mystical union, etc., and mystical truth, it's so difficult to get it precisely. It's so easy to misunderstand that ever since early Islam, actually, the earliest Sufis onwards, have often been misunderstood and been accused of being pantheists or believing in God incarnate. So that problem is not confined to Salafism. So you find that broadly across Sufism. There were many Sunnis who made that point. And in fact, many Sufis themselves, many of the great Sufi imams, so Al-Hujwiri in his Imam Ghazali himself, and others, would often categorize Sufism into three types. They would talk about the early Sufis, and they talk about later Sufis who were basically on the right path of the solid. And the third group they will always mention, which they call charlatan Sufis, pseudo-Sufis, who were misusing the teaching of Islam or of Sufism, if you like, for religious or worldly reasons. Now, I suppose what I'm trying to say here as well, the topic is balancing Salafism and Sufism, is that this is something I came to through my own experience, if you like, my own reading, etc. Which is to say, I do believe there is a balance between the two. You don't have to take that balance, you can take one wing or the other. But that balance is really exemplified by somebody like Ibn Qilliam or many others, who basically say that Islam itself is the tariqah. Right? That's basically the teaching of, say, Ibn Qilliam, that you in the established teaching of Islam. So, as I said, prayer, fasting, charity, pilgrimage, everything else that person does. And you have the inner awareness of God when you're doing all of these things. And that is your tariqah, that's your path to God. And in that sense, all Muslims are part of the straight path. Islam is a straight path. It's a very broad path, an inclusive path. And I've been pleased to hear all the inclusive messages in this conference. But the straight path is wide, it's inclusive, and it has depth to it, and that's the inner aspect of Islam, which is Sufism. And that's how it's manifested. In my own intellectual journey, I suppose I found that Shah Wali al-Delhi was somebody who also combined or reconciled these different approaches to Islam. So Shah Wali, when you see his section on hadith, he very much upholds the primacy of hadith and of the tradition in terms of following the way of the Prophet. But he's also one of the great Sufis. He's part of the Naqshbandi Sufi orders. And amazingly, he manages to revere both Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Arabi, for example, people whose followers usually are at each other's throats. Shah Wali explicitly does that in his writing. So does Imam al-Alusi, the great commentator of the Qur'an from Iraq, in the 19th century and later 20th century. And what you see, actually, both within Salafism and Sufism, you see a lot of infighting and people splitting up, a lot of division within what people regard as their path to God, which to me confirmed, actually, that if you go too hard-line into either one of these branches, you end up defeating the purpose. So, I mean, I know from the Salafi movement that you have so many different offshoots and branches of Salafism, and they're often bitterly divided against each other. But sadly, you see that in Sufism as well, with the Sufi tariqas. Not the sheikhs, but not the true spiritual leaders, or obviously men and women of God. But often you find amongst the followers a lot of this kind of infighting as to my shaykh is better than yours, or my tariqah is better than yours. Just as you get on the outside, people saying, my Salafism is purer than yours, and all the rest of it. Those things which are kind of well known. I'll finish with just throwing up a couple of questions where it relates to political matters, actually. It need to be provocative here and controversial, because it is part of what's happening. It's not just purely intellectual interest. But one of them is that somebody already alluded to this today, actually, is that it's become highly politicized. When the radical middle way a few years ago, about 2009, I think it was, very commendably commissioned an independent expert to review their work, which was 100%, as far as I know, funded by the British government. They got an independent reviewer. I attended that public talk where she reviewed their work. She actually said this situation is directly a situation of British-funded Sufism against Saudi-funded Salafism or Wahhabism. I don't know which word she used. It was put in stark terms like that. And that is one aspect of the reality we're looking at. My last point, which I hope hand over nicely to you, is that you have activism on both sides. In the Salafi circle, which are actually very broad, by the way, they cover Salafism, quietist Salafism, political Salafism, even jihadist Salafism. I mean, there's a lot of activism. There's actually a lot of empowerment of women, for example, English language activities and things. One of the reasons why a lot of people are attracted to that type of Salafism. You also have Sufi activism, which my colleagues will speak about here. I'm just going to make the point that this has been tried before. So I think it should be in the abstract. Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brothers, famously described his movement, the Ikhwan al-Muslim, the Muslim Brothers. He called it Haraka Sunniya ala tariqa Salafiyya bi haqiqa Sufiyya. Okay, that's how he described it. He said it's a Sunni movement on the Salafi way with a Sufi reality. Now, Egypt, as far as I know, in his times was almost 100% Sunni, very few Shia in Egypt at that time. So he was basically trying to justify, I think, to all these different groups why they could all join the Muslim Brotherhood, because obviously it was a new kind of movement when it started. There is the Qassam brigades of Hamas, which are internationally labelled as a terrorist organisation. There is a Din of Qassam and a Sufi Sheikh, part of the Sufi of Palestine. So the point there is activism and political aspects to all of this, whether you talk about political Salafism or political Sufism or activist Salafism or Sufism, is nothing new. We have actually a lot of lessons to learn, not just from the last century of activism, etc., but obviously from the beginning of Islam itself. I'm talking about looking back, as the strapline for this conference says, looking back, looking ahead. That there is a lot in there that we can look back on and try to filter out what's good from what's harmful, if you like, for our situation for British Islam going forward. And that's the looking ahead.